Well, good morning everyone and welcome to the first Lanzarote News Bulletin of 2025. And I'd like to start by wishing you all a very, very happy 2025. I hope it brings you everything you want in the coming year. Now, people always ask me about the weather, so let's start off talking about that. This week's been reasonable, I would say. It's certainly warm when the sun's out, and during the course of the week we've had quite a lot of white fluffy cloud around, but in between that, lovely blue skies. So when the sun's out, it's glorious and the temperature's in the mid-20s. The minute a cloud goes over it, the temperature seems to drop by 5 or 6 degrees and it feels slightly cool. And it's certainly cool at night at the moment. We get up before dawn, about an hour before dawn here. And I've seen 12 to 13 degrees some mornings. Now we're about 300 meters above sea level, so down on the coast it's probably about 15 or 16 degrees, but that does feel cool if you've been living in Lanzarote for some time. But today, as you can see, it's absolutely glorious. Beautiful blue sky. I'm just taking a quick walk around the garden to show you how things look. We do have a southerly wind though, so aircraft are landing the wrong way and coming in where I'm panning now over the hills of Aria. So we may get a bit of noise during the course of this video. Right, let's crack on with the news. And by the way, stay tuned until the end of this, because this week I haven't just got 3 things you can do next week. I've actually got 4 things I think you should be doing if you're on the island next week, and one of them is particularly exciting. Okay, let's move on with the news then. The first story is a bit of an interesting one. There was a drama on Thursday evening this week when a private jet landed at Tenerife South Airport, and some technical issue caused it to stop on the runway and it couldn't be moved. I presume the brakes jammed on or something like that. That blocked the runway for a period of time, and it actually took them an hour and a half to get this private jet off the runway. So in the meantime, the 22 flights that were due to come in had to be diverted to other airports. Some went to Tenerife North, but the majority of them came to Lanzarote. So the airport on Thursday afternoon looked like a car park. It was just seemed to be full of aircraft for a short period of about an hour and a half. The good news is they all got off again and they all went into the airport they were due to land in, which was Tenerife South. So those people were able to start their holiday, albeit a couple of hours later than they'd originally anticipated. Now, next up, those of you who watch these bulletins regularly will know that I've been talking about the new letting law, which is going through the Canarian Parliament, which will regulate private holiday rentals across the islands. This is something completely different, but is in some way related. And the European Union have come up with what they call a single registration, which is a registration number which will be for all properties being let in the European Union, in the EU. And of course, we are part of the EU here in the Canaries. And Spain have implemented it already as of the 2nd of January, although it won't be compulsory to have this until the middle of the year. And what owners will have to do is basically apply for what's called the single EU registration number. They'll be able to do that through the property register here in Lanzarote. And by the way, for those of you who are owners and you're wondering about this, I'm sure that several of the local companies will very quickly set up a process by which they can apply for this number for you. And the bottom line is, when it all comes into force, and it isn't in force yet, every single property being holiday let across the European Union will have a single registration number, which people will be able to punch into a database and make sure everything's kosher and correct with that particular property. So there's more on that to follow, but that is something that will be happening over the next few months here in Spain. We had a record year last year for cruise ship visitors to the island, and we are expecting 140 cruise ships to dock in Arrecife between now and the end of April. And the cruise season here tends to run through the winter, so the ships that plough up and down the Med through the summer tend to relocate to the Canary Islands because we have much better weather in the winter. And as I say, we're expecting 140 cruise ships over the course of the next 4 months, and they should bring around 140,000 passengers to visit the island on ship excursions or under their own steam, walking around Arrecife or hiring a car and exploring while they're here. The first two arrived on the 2nd of November, the 2nd of January, and they were, he says, reading his iPad, Azura, which I believe is a P&O ship, and Marella Discovery 2. So they were the first of those 140 cruise ships to arrive. If you're not a regular trier of Lanzarote wines, you should be, because they, particularly the whites, really are exceptional. And Bodegas El Grifo, which is the oldest bodega on the island, has won 2 more awards. Lanzarote wines seem to win awards every time they go to an event. These 2 awards were for the best wines and spirits in Spain in 2024, and they were competing against 1,500 other wines that had been submitted by bodegas all around Spain. 2 of their wines won awards. The first was their Malvasia Lias, which was given the award for the best white wine in barrel. Now, we've tried this one and we absolutely love it. It's a delicious wine. It has a real warmth to it that you don't normally get with the crisp, dry whites here. The second one that won an award was their Vendimia Invierno, which was their experiment really to create a winter wine in Lanzarote, and it was given an award for the most innovative wine presented at the event. Julie went down to actually help pick the grapes. I can't remember whether it was last winter or the winter before, the first year that they came out, but we haven't actually tried it yet. So if you have, let me know what you think of it. But if not, I will try it when we get to buy some more wine towards the end of this month. This one really applies to people who are resident on the island, and I know we have a few residents who watch and enjoy these videos. If you're contemplating buying an electric car here, the good news is that the subsidies, which are part of a plan called Moves 3, Moves 3 if you like in English, have been extended until the middle of 2025. And there are some really quite good subsidies available from the Canarian government, for buying a car, and you can get a subsidy of up to €9,000 for buying a fully electric car, and B, for installing an electric car charger at your home, and you can get up to €5,000 of subsidy for installing a charger. The maximum amount of 5,000 is if you have a charger which is powered by solar panels, but you can get a little bit towards the cost of it even if you're connected to the grid. Now, we love good news in Lanzarote, and the good news is that in the Canary Islands, the crime rate went down by quite a significant amount in 2024 compared to 2023. The number was 8.4%, so that there were 8.4% fewer crimes on the islands compared to last year. And here in Lanzarote, we only had 4,736 crimes reported versus 5,906 the year before. Spain's crime rate is much lower than most countries in Europe. So for our crime rate to go down by a significant amount really is good news. Now, for those of you who subscribe to this channel, thank you so much for doing so. We really appreciate it. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. We put out 3 videos a week. One on a Tuesday, which is a sort of bit of a history of Lanzarote, the stories of Lanzarote type of video. One on a Thursday, which is us walking somewhere around the island, showing you perhaps Playa Blanca or Puerto del Carmen or Arrecife or something that we think might be interesting for you. And of course on a Saturday we post this news video. So 3 videos a week. All you have to do is subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Somebody did ask me the other day how much it costs to subscribe to our channel. The answer is nothing. It's just a way of letting YouTube know that you want to see our videos. 2 final things while I'm talking about stuff like that. One is, if you like this, please give us a like. It really does help our channel. And 2, if you have a question or a comment, a bit of feedback you want to give us, just put a comment in below. I read every single one of them. And thank you once again so much for watching these videos. Right, let's finish off the last two stories in this week's news. Fairly quiet news week, as you'd expect, in the gap between Christmas and Kings. There was a bit of a nasty traffic accident in Costa Teguise this week. A car travelling on Avenida Islas Canarias in Costa Teguise, so that's one of the two sort of parallel roads that runs through town, smashed into parked cars last Friday afternoon. And one of the parked cars that it hit then knocked into a 50-year-old lady who was walking on the pavement. She and the driver of the car, who's aged 36, are in hospital recovering from their injuries now. But as you can see from the picture, it was a pretty nasty smash-up. And finally, on the news, the island's population reached a historical high in 2024. The total number of people living here has risen to 172,900. That means, I mean, to give you a feel for the growth of that, we've lived here 25 years, and when we came here, there were fewer than 100,000 on the island. So it really has been a very big population growth, mainly through immigration. Arrecife remains the area with the highest population or percentage of population in the island at 41%. Teguise is the second biggest area, and the least populous area is the one we live in, which is one of the biggest municipalities, Aria, in the north. And up here we only have 5,950 people. Now, before we do the three things, although this week it's four things, I just want to make an apology. Last week on the news, I started the whole thing off by saying I would tell you about the new area for people that need assistance at the airport. And then I completely forgot to do it. And it wasn't until after I'd edited the video and loaded it up and someone pointed it out to me that I realised my mistake. I don't really know what I did wrong. I think I must have just skipped a line in my notes. So humble apologies for that. Just to give you the story on that, there is a new area which was created or opened up week before last. It's an 80 square metre area, and it looks a very comfortable place for people who need airport assistance and their companions to sit and relax before they are taken to the flight for boarding. So on your next visit, if you need airport assistance, you'll be able to make use of that area. And it's not fully closed off, but it has sort of glass partitions on it. So it is kind of segregated from the huge ebb and flow you get up and down the long airport building. So once again, apologies for that, and I hope that makes up for it. Now, I've come up with four things this week because, to be honest, there were four things that I thought these were all interesting, and rather than try and take one out, I'm going to give them all to you. And the first is a show that's taking place at Monumento Campesino on Saturday, the 4th of January. Entry is free, and it's called Mover Montañas, which is moving mountains. And I'm going to read the description from my iPad. It's a show by Alberto Velasco, and he is the quite well-known actor and stage artist here in Spain. His latest production, Moving Mountains, is a transgressive show of folklore through queer identity and avant-garde. So it's a dance piece. It's site-specific as a manifesto of the need for ritual as a way to save a society that is in trouble. I mean, it sounds kind of strange, but it also sounds, to me, intriguing. So I think that might be quite an interesting thing to go to on Saturday night, this evening, for most of you watching this. Now, the second thing you must do is go to a procession of the Three Kings on Sunday. And that means us and a very big group of friends of ours are going down to the one in Arrecife because it's always the biggest one. The Kings start off at Puerto Neos and they go all the way down the front to the Cabildo, and our group of friends will be watching that from the sort of area of Chaco San Ginés, and then after the Kings have gone through, we'll go and find some somewhere to have a bite to eat at one of the restaurants in the Charco. But these processions take place all over the island, and if you go to our website lanzaroteinformation.com or .co.uk, you'll be able to see on the front page details of where and when the kings are appearing in different parts of the island. For those of you who don't know, the tradition here in Spain is that on the 5th of January, the day before 12th night, a celebration is made where the kings pass through all of the villages on their way to meet the baby Jesus, as they did on 12th night, on the 6th of January. And the kings here are always on camels, where they're not on boats travelling to La Graciosa, pardon me, and they throw out sweets for the children, and the children get very excited because traditionally the day after they get to open most, if not all, of their presents. And Monday the 6th here is a public holiday. Now, next up we have a pantomime, and this panto takes place from the 10th to the 12th of January. It's Sleeping Beauty, and it's taking place in Playa Blanca at Vinci Fitness in Calle Lanzarote. It's €10 to get in. It starts at 7 p.m. and as I say, it's on the 10th, the 11th and the 12th of January. Panto I always thought of as a very British thing. I've never been to a panto here or heard of one being here, but it does sound like a bit of fun for those of you, well, anywhere on the island on the 10th, 11th or 12th of January. And finally, and your fourth bonus one, if you like, is a festival of flamenco, which is taking place in Arrecife at the Teatro Municipal. And this is on January the 11th at 8 o'clock. Tickets are €25, but flamenco is the most fantastic thing, and it's the story of flamenco, which will be done in the style of flamenco with the dance and the hand clapping and the guitars and all of that kind of stuff. I absolutely love flamenco, and if you're interested to see genuine, proper flamenco and learn a little bit about the history of it, that will be a great event to go to, I am sure. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you so much once again for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll be back the same time next week with the news, Saturday morning, but don't forget our other videos on Tuesday and Thursday as well. Once again, a very, very happy new year to you, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.